Hey Facebook, how are you today? Woo! My husband is funny, guys. Listen, thank you so much for tuning in to the Money School with LaShawn Holland. This wonderful, hot Monday afternoon or evening. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Do me a favor and share this Facebook Live, or you can create a, what do they call it in hell?
Watch party.
Yep, a watch party, or do whatever it is you do. Why? Because friends don't let other friends be broke, okay? That's what the First Lady's slogan should be, instead of that dumb be best. Isn't that what it is? Hashtag be best. That's so dumb. It should be hashtag be broke after her husband's presidency, because that's what they're trying to make sure everybody is. But anyway, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not going to waste my time talking about Donald Trump today or his wife's dumb be best slogan. It just even sounds stupid, doesn't it? Anyway, shout out to everyone that attended the Born to Multiply book tour experience. I loved seeing everybody, hugging people, you know, having the opportunity to place a body, a face with a name that I see all the time on social media. It was just really a great experience for me to be able to hug and love and talk to people about the shifts and stuff that you know, that has happened in their lives, and what reading the book has done and opened their eyes to certain opportunities, people, different aha moments. I mean, it really was an amazing experience. And then I spent almost 2 hours teaching. And so it's not a regular book sign. And that's really what I want people to understand. It's an opportunity for you to really increase your financial IQ. And so one of the things I think is really important when you want to build wealth in your life is to make sure that you are putting yourself in the position to be able to create space. A lot of times we don't increase our income, and you know, we're not taking advantage of the opportunities to build wealth because we don't know how to create the space to be able to plan for profit. And I think matter of fact, the name of this Facebook Live is Planning for Prosperity. Like, you have to plan for prosperity. And so many times people don't realize that you have to make plans for it. You have to be able to create the space in your life. If you never create the space to learn anything about money, the character of money, how money moves, you know, the game of money, what other plays is going to allow me to be on the winning side? What am I doing that keeps me on the side of defeat with my money? And so you have to be able to put yourself in the room. And so Sunday morning, I woke up to a lot of DMs about how much people learned and the value in the financial education they felt was life-shifting. And so I think that's really important. You have to be in the room if you want to be able to change, or you want to see change in your finances. And if you don't make your prosperity a priority, then money won't be able to give you options. And so that's really what money does. Money has the ability to give you options and choices. And so the deception is that, you know, I've heard this before, and I guarantee you a lot of what I say within those 2 hours, you've never heard before. And we're going to get into why you haven't heard them before. But if your balance sheet or your personal economy isn't in a place where you no longer have to trade time for dollars, then every chance you get to raise your financial IQ, you should make that a priority. Learn and do. That's really the model that you should have, or the model that you should follow. Is not just to read information just to be reading, or to hear something just to be hearing. You haven't learned it if you're not doing it. One of the things I never allowed my kids to say to me that really used to irk me was, I already know that. No, and I used to always tell them the minute they said that, no, you don't know it, because if you know it, you would do it. We tend to do what we know. We know that chairs are going to catch us if we sit down, so we sit down in them. We know if I hit the light switch, I have faith, I have confidence that the lights are going to come on when I hit that switch. but you gotta, it's an action, you know, you're actually hitting something, you're sitting, you're doing something. And so when you hear something, you know, okay, when you hear something and you're not doing it, you have not learned it. I'm going to say that again. When you hear something and you're not doing it, you have not learned it. And so the room should be like Wealthy Revolution Live, which Wealthy Revolution Live this year was a standing room only. This book tour experience should be the same. So our next stop is in Atlanta. I actually need to go back out of the country this week, but our next stop is Atlanta, Georgia. And so on August the 10th, tag friends that you know in Atlanta. Pick up the phone and call them if you know they live in Atlanta and you know they can benefit from this for, you know, raising their financial IQ. And so again, if you don't make prosperity a priority, then money won't give you options. And so, like I said, the deception is to say, I've heard this or I know this. And, you know, here's what I want to say that I think is important today. The middle class climb the corporate ladder, but rich people own the corporate ladder. I'm going to say that again. The middle class, our mindset is to climb the corporate ladder. But a rich person's mindset is to own the corporate ladder.
I'm about to throw something at you.
Robert says he's about to throw something at me. And so what I do at Born to Multiply, what I do at the Wealthy Leaders Institute, what I do at the Wealthy Revolution Live Experience event is to try to get people to understand how to own their own ladders. And stop expecting somebody to give you one and then reach down and pull you up. Because if no one ever chooses to pull you up, does that mean you stay in the same place? God forbid. No, it doesn't. And so you'll never own the ladders if you're not in the room to learn how money operates. And so what I want people to learn is that there are 3 different levels to financial advice. 3 different levels to financial advice. Sometimes people get offended when I say this, but I am extremely serious when I say this. I don't take advice from poor people. And so I learned that very early on. If you knew the right answers, then you wouldn't live the life that you live in. My grandfather taught me that very early on. Consider your source. And so I'll never forget, I let my cousins convince me. I don't know if you, I may be telling my age, but I'm proud of my age. But we used to have these cameras, Kodak cameras that was called disc, D-I-S-C cameras. And they used to have the little disc on them, and it was fairly new, right? And anyway, they told me to go in. They wanted to take pictures. Go in grandma's room in her drawer and sneak and get the disc camera out. And I remember sneaking to get the disc camera out. And now see, my cousins always felt like I was my grandparents' favorite. And so they will always get me to do stuff because they knew if they did it, then they would get in big trouble. But if I did it, you know, the consequences would be the same. Well, that was a lie, because the consequences was the same for me that day. When my grandfather came and asked me, and we had a discussion about it after I got in trouble, he sat me down and he was like, always consider your source. You know, look at who's telling you to do what. What does their life look like? And so I'm not trying to be condescending when I say I don't take advice from poor people, but if you knew what to do, then you will be doing it and your world will be different. And so there's 3 different levels to financial advice. There's the advice for poor people that exist in the world. There's the advice for middle class people that exist in the world. And then there's the advice for rich people and wealthy people, because there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. And so the advice for poor people is that the government will take care of you. And so poor people are dependent on Social Security. They're dependent on Medicaid or Medicare to take care of them. And so they sit around, they think their government jobs or their jobs are going to be there to take care of them. We are no longer living in that type of economy anymore. We're not. There's no such thing as job security on any job nowadays. I don't care how long you've been there. I don't care how special you think you are. Listen, It is not their responsibility for them to secure up your financial future. It's your responsibility to do that. And so the advice of the middle class is to go get a job, to go to school, get a great education, get a good job, work hard, live beneath your means, invest in mutual funds, save money, and keep getting in debt because of lifestyle creep, also known as Parkinson's law. Right? I talked about that on another Facebook Live, but lifestyle creep. Really, those are the actions of the middle class mindset. And most people in the middle class are passive investors who work and invest not to lose. There's a difference between investing to win and investing not to lose money. And so the rich are active investors, not passive investors. Passive investors invest not to lose. Active investors work to invest to win. And so these are totally two different strategies when you want to invest money. And so advice for the rich, listen, advice for the rich is that they don't share their advice with poor or middle class, which is true. I mean, a lot of times when I go to events that are, you have to prove that you have a high net worth just to be able to get in there. They make you sign waivers. I don't even know if I should say this on a Facebook Live. But anyway, I'm not, because I don't want to be blocked out of the rooms. I want to keep getting the same information so I can change, keep upgrading. But advice for the rich is a lot of times they don't share it. Listen, the investment strategies that wealthy people use are very different than the retail investing that most Americans use. And so this is why I try to get you in the room to the Born to Multiply Tour Experience and Wealthy Revolution Live, so you can learn the same strategies that normally you're going to be kept out of the room. You're going to be blocked out of the room. Thank you so much. And so that's important. The mission of money really is to expand so you can live an amazing life by building the right systems and following the right blueprint for wealth. And the true solution, I'm getting ready to take y'all to school. The true solution to poverty is not more money. The true solution to poverty is education, the right kind of education. And so people who live in lack think that more money will solve all of their money problems. But one money problem that money cannot solve is poverty. And I'm going to explain why. While there's so many other root causes to poverty in the world, one of the causes is a lack of having the right financial education. And so the problem with throwing money at the issue of poverty is that money only creates more poor people and it keeps them poor longer. And so the true solution to poverty is having a raised financial IQ and increased level of financial education. And I'm going to give you an example. Think about people who are enablers, right? Who, when you keep giving money, these are people who keep giving money to family members and friends that have a piss poor track record. Was I supposed to say that?
Too late.
Okay. Anyway, they got a bad track record of being trifling with money, and yet we keep loaning them money, time after time after time. And so being an enabler actually doesn't help anybody out. When you just keep bailing them out time or throwing money at a person with a poor mindset doesn't help them out financially. It keeps them in the same situation longer because they don't grow. Listen, you can't bail a person out of scarcity. They have to grow beyond scarcity. And so they have no reason to change if you constantly bail them out. Listen, you cannot reward evil for good and think that it's going to change. It doesn't happen like that. And so I say this all the time. Poor planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine. You spend your rent money, and I've had this happen over the years where people will come, or, I had people come to me and ask me because they have family members that they're struggling with helping because they'll do stuff like spend their rent or their mortgage money on a cruise because they say they deserve the cruise. And so they expect somebody to bail them out so they don't get put out. And I'm like, okay, let me get this straight. You took your rent money or your mortgage money to pay on a cruise because you think you deserve a vacation, which I think everybody should go on vacations. I love vacations, but not at the expense of me having some place to lay my head. And so now you expect me to take out of my household because of your bad money decision, and then I'm supposed to keep bailing you out time after time. This is what it looks like when you throw money at a poor person. It only keeps them poor longer. And so you take your car note money and you buy tickets to go see Beyonce on her new world tour, and then you come back and you beg somebody to give you money to be able to pay your car note so the snatch man won't come get your car note. Listen, I heard someone say this years ago that black people, and you can take it or leave it. If the shoe fits, take it off. Don't wear it. Take it off. We beg for what we need and borrow. How does it go, babe? What's the saying go? How black people beg for what they want and borrow for what they need. Yeah. And so that's just crazy. Or you co-sign for an irresponsible child and now your credit is all jacked up. You know each and every one of your children. You know when they have bad, poor, money habits. You know when they're irresponsible. So why would you co-sign for them and now your credit is jacked up and you need a new car and you can't go get a new car? Listen, throwing money at a person with a poor mindset only keeps them poor longer. And so education is what changes and shifts poverty, not more money. And so, and if you want word, because I've had wonderful Christians come and try to give me scriptures, and listen, I promise you, I'm not the one when it comes to money in the Bible. There are over 385 scriptures that deal with how we're to handle money, and I'm pretty sure I've read almost all of them. But when you think about this situation that I just talked about, co-signing for irresponsible people, Proverbs 17:18 says there is one who lacks sense. See, the Bible even calls you stupid. It says there is one who lacks sense, gives a pledge and puts up security in the presence of his neighbor. He says, look, it's stupid if you co-sign for somebody. Listen, if the Lord tells you not to co-sign and he knows everybody, what makes you think that you're going to be exempt from getting duped? Proverbs 11:15, whoever puts up security for a stranger will surely suffer harm, but he who hates striking hands in a pledge is secure. I've had people say, well, what happens if it's not a stranger and I know the person? I'm not going tit for tat for you. You go ahead and give them your money and don't call me when they don't pay you back. Proverbs 22:26 and 27 says, be not one of those who give pledges, who puts up security for debts. If you have nothing with which to pay, why should your bed be taken from under you? And I learned this very early on from my grandfather, not the scriptures. I didn't find these scriptures until I became an adult. But I remember watching my grandfather when people would come to him and ask him for loans for stuff, or to co-sign. My grandfather wouldn't co-sign for nobody, not even his kids. And one of the things I remember him sitting me down, he used to, go fishing, and he used to have like this fire pit. And a lot of my money lessons that he gave me when I was very young, like 8, 9, and 10 years old, he would be there taking the what are the things on the fish? Scales. Scaling the fish, and he would be teaching me financial principles. And one of the principles that he taught me that I learned growing up, that why he wouldn't co-sign for people. And he says there's a reason people need co-signers. He said if the bank doesn't trust them, why should I trust them? The bank has way more information about their spending habits than what they lie to me about. And so I learned he wouldn't even co-sign for me. My very first car, he went to the dealership. He paid cash for that little Toyota Corolla, and I drove it until the engine just stopped on me. But he paid cash for it, and then I paid him back every month consistently. I was faithful in doing it until the day that I got married. He told me, he tore up the agreement that we had and told me don't worry about paying me. He wanted me to now work on building a secure, financial future for my family with my husband. But when you think about this, if you don't believe what I'm saying about, throwing money on poverty only keeps poor people poorer longer, you think about it. Drive by any urban, that's a good way of saying ghetto, but you drive by the apartments in the ghetto and just look at the cars that are parked in the parking spaces. I'm amazed when I drive by and I see Mercedes-Benz trucks and Range Rovers and, BMWs and cars that are parked inside of apartments. And so, more income to the poor person means that more things that they can buy as a consumer, not more money that they can invest to buy more assets, so the assets can provide passive income and portfolio income. And so then the assets buy the wants and not the earned income. The problem is we want to look or give the illusion that we got money, we got it going on, but we doing it off of our earned income. And that's why you living from paycheck to paycheck. Because guess what? Earned income doesn't multiply like that, not unless you put it inside of assets. That's why 70% of lottery winners are broken 3 to 5 years after winning the lottery. They file for bankruptcy. This is having money with no mindset to change. And when your cash flow is the problem. If you have cash flowing in the wrong direction, you're going to have more month than money. That's all there's to it. And so when your financial education increases, you start to see opportunities all over the place. Our people need to understand that money or the lack of it, again, is not our problem. Cash flow is. This is what happens when you get great financial education. You gain vision. And through vision, you gain the ability to spot economic problems and turn them into economic opportunities. And so if you're watching this live, watching me right now, then chances are you've reached a point in your life where what you want is really colliding with what you think you can have. And so this is why people don't show up in rooms of change where they can shift and transform their financial lives. This is why they don't read books from the front to the back in its entirety. The richest people, I read a quote earlier today. It says the richest people in the world look for and build networks. Everyone else looks for work. Listen. When you're inside the room, you build great, rich relationships that you guys can run together and do. I talk about this all the time at my events. I show people that are inside the room that have done business deals, profitable business deals. I'm not talking about the ones that you wish that would happen. I'm talking about the ones that actually lead to profit. Being inside rooms, you build rich networks by being in the room with like-minded people who want better opportunities. And so you might be dissatisfied where you are in life right now, or upset with what the prospect of your life look like, or tired of your job. Whatever it may be, because you know that your life has greater purpose than whatever you're living right now. And so if this is how you feel, you're absolutely correct. But, as I've discussed, we all have a specific purpose in life that we can step into. But you only step into that purpose when you plan for it. You got to have a plan for prosperity. It doesn't happen. So when it comes, you're not wondering what to do. I already know what to do. And so, however, from a young age, we learn to deny that purpose and the desires connected to it. Why would anybody want to deny it? The answer is simple. A fundamental fact of life. We were born with a survival mechanism on the inside of us. We need to survive. And so when you think about your first years of life, we depend completely on our parents for all of our needs. Everything that we need comes from our parents, or whoever our caregivers are, from our food, our shelter, our clothing, the toys that we have, the love that we receive, the nurturing that we get or should be getting. We naturally do whatever we can to make sure that they keep supporting us. And so usually this means that we learn to adapt to the mindset and their ways of behaving. And this is called programming. And so we value what they value. We tend to want what they want, and we think how they think. And so what happens if it was done in a lack mindset? What happens if they didn't have the correct mindset around money? And so, and what happens if they don't know that prosperity follows purpose? What happens if they don't understand how to use your purpose, your bankable purpose? We talk about that a lot on the tour. But what happens if they don't understand you walking in your purpose? Just this afternoon, we were talking with my son, who one of his good friends made a decision that he doesn't want to play football anymore. He wants to pursue his business, and his family was so upset with him. He's already gotten his college degree, and he knows in his heart that this is what he's called to do. He didn't come from a great background, and so they don't understand, because he was their ticket out of the ghetto, and he can still be their ticket out. He just wants to follow purpose, but they can't see that. They don't understand that because they don't have a growth mindset. They haven't placed themselves inside of rooms to be able to expand their mindset. And so we're not taught growing up the importance of our purpose in life. It's like we have become oh man, I only got a few more minutes. It's like we've become a cookie cutter society. We tell all the kids to do the same thing. Go to school, get a great education. And then we act like becoming an athlete or entertainer is the only way that Black people can make money. I am so tired. Listen, stop asking me why my son didn't go to the NFL. Okay? Why he didn't declare for the draft. He got his degree. He knows what his purpose is in life. That is not the only way that he can make money. You make more money when you sit up in the booth and you own the team. That is his objective, not to keep getting beat up on that football field. You have to understand the strategy and go after that and live out your purpose. You got to teach the kids, go after what you feel in your heart that God has created you to do. So our purpose goes way beyond that. However, when we're young, we don't recognize that we need to be living true to our purpose, and we don't recognize how dysfunctional this form of thinking is. Constantly telling people to follow a model that no longer works in 2019, is not going to work in 2020, 2021. It's just not going to work. It's an old model. The Bible even talks about putting new wine in old wineskins, how it's not going to work because the wineskins will burst. We have to stop using old information thinking we're going to get new money. You got to understand the difference between now money and maybe money. Listen, maybe money doesn't manifest, and you got to learn how to use your purpose and your passions for the now money. And so to move forward, we have to sacrifice what I call the illusion of security for our purpose. And the reason why that I say it's illusion, because the crazy thing is we don't understand that life doesn't have to be an either or. I can have both. We tend to make things either or. I can either do this or nothing else is going to happen. And so to be safe and more secure, than trying to figure out how to change my mindset. I've had people tell me it's too hard. It's too hard to do this. No, I'm going to tell you it's hard. Staying broke is hard. That's what's hard. It's hard when you see a better life and you're not able to get it. What's comfortable is rarely profitable. What's comfortable is really rarely profitable. And this is why you have to have a plan for prosperity and be in the rooms that expand you, because naturally your comfort zone will keep you in the same spot, guys. Planning for prosperity means that you will consistently do the things that create the space in your life so you can show up great for your future self. That's what it means. How do you create the space? How do you plan for prosperity? You make time to increase your financial IQ. Read some books. Born to Multiply is a wonderful book for you to start with. Listen, #1 bestseller in several different categories within 24 hours. And so that's a great book for you to start. Get a money coach. You're looking at a great one right in front of you. And so learn the things that you don't know about money by showing up in the rooms. So when someone gives you an opportunity to learn, like at the Born to Multiply book tour experience, you know, when someone gives you the opportunity to learn, we go over the different asset classes and the twin pillars of wealth building and how to get use the current global economic conditions, how it affects your personal economies, and how to use within your hands to create wealth. And so my time is up with you today, but I wanted to ask you, I don't have a lot of spots, but for those of you who attended Wealthy Revolution Live this year and you experienced the amazing job that my son did with teaching about options trading and helping dispel some of the myths around making money in the market. And then really he did an excellent job with educating people so people knew what candlesticks were. They can look up at a chart and understand what the stock was doing and what calls meant, with the difference between a put. And so he did an awesome job with educating them. He's actually getting ready to launch a program in September. We talked about that on the tour for everybody who says they want to learn how to invest. But for those of you who attended Wealthy Revolution or not, you know, the first few people that send me a DM, you'll have this opportunity, and you experience my son who's an investor. Then listen, if you're interested in learning how my son doubled his portfolio, listen guys, he doubled his portfolio in one of the worst months in the past 5 years. Send me a DM. If you're interested in learning how Adam was able to double his portfolio in one of the worst months in the last 5 years, send me a DM because he's going to have an opportunity to talk to you and ask you some questions, because he is developing a program and he wants to make sure that he gives you what you need and what you desire. So as it pertains to learning investing, I needed to correct that. But anyway, thank you guys for showing up. Until next week, I look forward to seeing you, and share the video. If you found value in this, share the video. If you didn't find value in it, share the video. Thank you. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.